to our live broadcast. We are live with WSO, Steve Olson, and Wayne Steiger. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, and we're going to be discussing some updated information pertaining to Nibiru, Planet X, this cosmic wave earthquake activity that is basically rumbling across the globe. Wayne and Steve, how you doing, guys?
Doing good, my friend.
Doing great, man.
So we had a couple of major earthquakes down there in Papua New Guinea. Magnitude 8.0, then they downgraded it to a 7.9. How nice of them.
They do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that lately. I've been seeing a lot of non-reporting. And I touched base 2 weeks ago with a gentleman from Mexico who actually works for the seismology office in Mexico. And he's one of my subscribers, and he was actually watching some of my earthquake reports. And whenever I was using the USGS and using the other earthquake applications and websites, he sent me an email and he said, wow, he says, why are they not reporting all of these earthquakes that we're having on the west coast of Mexico and Central America? And I emailed him back and I said, well, can you give me some information on what's going on in your country? Wow. He sent me a link to their seismology office website. And he said, please use this. And I looked at it. I spent 3 hours on this Mexican seismology website, and I was floored, literally floored. Later on, I'll share that screen with you and the direct link he gave me. And the earthquake activity on the west coast of Mexico and in Central America is actually, it will open up your eyes very wide. They are not reporting any of that information, none of it. And I mean, there are so many earthquakes that you can't count them. You have to zoom in to each one of the dots. And, they're very accurate. They don't do any kind of downgrading or anything like that. They're taking the direct readings from their instruments and reporting it. And I've been telling everyone, and, when me and Steve were on the radio show last night, last thing I said was, please, pay attention to these earthquakes. There's definitely something going on. Something is affecting the earth for months. And it's leading up to a point where our internal core, I feel, is heating up, and it is literally pushing on these tectonic plates. And we're going to have some serious earthquakes. I mean, we may see something that's never been seen by, current mankind walking on this earth. And it's definitely going to be on the west coast of the United States. And I do think the west coast of South America, along Chile, Argentina, and Colombia, it's going to be ripped apart. And I think we're also going to see some serious activity, Japan and in the South Pacific. And we may just see the northern coastline of New Zealand wiped out. But, that's just what I've been investigating, just the intel that I've been getting. And so far, it's been pretty credible, and it's been right on target. You guys still there?
What I keep on seeing here is, it's this constant area right down there in that whole Samoa, Papua New Guinea, and then extending down into New Zealand. I keep on thinking to myself that eventually that zipper is going to unzip the West Coast as well. I have a brother who lives in the Seattle area, and that particular area there, which they're not reporting on the news, is the complete valley in between Mount St. Helen and down that valley in there. They have had numerous earthquake swarms. So, and then the last one that was a sizable one, I believe, was right off the Oregon coast, if I'm not correct, gentlemen, about 40 miles out to the Pacific, in which we know there's volcanoes sitting underneath there. So, yeah, it's pretty odd.
Yeah, I just put the current 3D earthquake tracker up. And can you see that on your screen, Steve?
I can. Let me close my screen share because I think we're both sharing our screens, and we should just do one at a time if we're going to get the images, I think, is the idea. All right. All right, I think I gave up my thing, so just go ahead and show us the earthquake map. I can see it.
It should pop up on your screen now.
Oh, yep.
And, I mean, if you just, we'll just zero it out, and we'll just take a look real quick and can see it looks kind of quiet, but there was one 2.9, and that looks like what, Northern California. I could zoom in there and turn on the actual Earth. Turn on some of these. Yeah, Central California, you know, a 2.9, and something that you know, Wayne just touched on, and I started digging into a couple of days ago, was this earthquake activity that was swarming around Mount St. Helens, and I was kind of startled about, you know, about that, because it wasn't being reported. Literally, I think it was from November 30th. 120, you know, small microquakes, whatever they want to call them. And then I come to find out that these idiots have some type of fracking operations and some other type of like large turbines on these other smaller mountain tops around this Mount St. Helens. And you know, I found that was kind of unusual. That why would they be doing something like that on a volcano like Mount St. Helens? You know, and you know, listen.
It sounds to me like that maybe we're covering up some kind of a core drilling operation. They're probably trying to look at the composition of the geology to see what its characteristics would be under certain pressures, things like that.
Or they're trying to harness some of that energy. They're doing something. There is a large pipeline that's stretching all the way down the mountainside and through the roads. And I think, I don't know if it was BP Earthwatch or you know, Mike Around the World that touched on that the other day. And I felt that was just completely irresponsible and very alarming. You know, I took a look at the surrounding area of Mount St. Helens on Google Earth today. And, you know, it was scary, even though it's been so many years. There, you can literally still see the pathway of destruction, and the trees still toppled over to this day. And they're there drilling holes in the ground, you know, just completely responsible, or irresponsible. But I was showing some of my subscribers today, just looking at the earthquake activity in the past 7 days. I refer to what you're seeing right now as a pincushion, because that's what it looks like. It looks like that old-fashioned pincushion that your grandma used to have. Literally earthquakes popping out everywhere. You know, I mean, they had a couple of earthquakes in France this past week. I mean, all my life, I'm 48 years old, I've never heard of an earthquake in France. I mean, have any of you guys ever heard that in your lifetimes?
No. No.
You know, so, I mean, what is
well, Wayne's a lot older than me. What about you, Wayne? Oh, Lord. So anyway, guys, yeah, it is disconcerting. And one of the things that I'm a little bit worried about is how a lot of this is, it's like the dots are connecting together. And I'll show you what I mean by looking at the recent global map of wind and currents here. And Scott, see if you can see my screen here, if I can get this going here.
Yeah, I just took mine down.
Yeah, so here we go. I'll share this. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
So as you were talking about, the Antarctic region is now starting to cool down from a couple days ago. And so you can see it's like about 38 below zero there, but it's a very small area. But look at this, man. Guys, look at the top of the Earth once for a second here. And just look at it from this perspective. Part of the atmosphere is getting ripped off. I mean, there was just me.
I was looking at that the other day. You know, I was looking at the jet streams across the North Pole and South Pole, both. And, you know, I was using the One Earth model, and it looked absolutely, completely erratic. And I touched base with a young lady who works at a meteorologist's office at the University of Hawaii. And, you know, I wanted some information on what was going on with these two jet streams. And we shared the link to the model that you're actually using right now. And she was a little bit tight-lipped about it. And she told me that the jet stream models, what we were seeing on the North and the South Pole, both of them at this time of year should be, she used the word tighter. They shouldn't be as wide as they currently are. And I asked her, can you give me like a statement on, you know, why this is occurring? and she didn't. You know, she just avoided the question. And I felt that that was kind of odd. And from what we're viewing on the screen right now, and from the video that I did on this the other day, we're looking at a 100% change. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somebody told me that they had snow in Hawaii last, what was it, the beginning of the week, I guess, on some of the higher elevations. I mean, I didn't check into it, but I mean, there were people from other countries in the Middle East, Israel, that people keep in touch with me over there. And I forget what country it was. I think it was India, northern part of India, that they were struggling to, you know, gather blankets and things for people because they were about to hit some very cold temperatures that their country's not used to. Where's it coming from, and how is it occurring?
So Wayne, what's going on over there? Can you still hear us, brother?
He's there. He's muted his mic back and forth. We'll have to get him definitely tuned in. He said, I cannot hear you, but not on my mic.
Could you speak once, Wayne, or because we're not hearing you on our...
He's talking now, and we can't hear him. That's kind of odd.
It really is. We run into this stuff a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, I use this.
Hey, we should go see my website again.
Hey, you know what I actually, you know, actually what I wanted to take a look at, I meant to do it earlier today, was this big, massive coronal hole that is literally starting to face the Earth. Do you have that accessible? You know, the one that the globe is like that purplish green blue color.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, I mean, guaranteed. Now I just got a report that the solar winds have slowed down to about half of the solar wind speeds have slowed down to about half of what they were several days ago. And we're literally, you know, the sun has its slow rotation, and it is literally rotating that massive coronal hole right towards the Earth. Yeah, I mean, just you take a look at that thing, and man, you just wow, that's huge. You know, and we're turning.
It's like you can see, it almost looks like you can see right into the sun itself.
Yeah, we're turning. I mean, the sun is turning, and we're going to be, well, right now we are just on the fringe of this this coronal hole, and within the next what is it, 4, 5, or 6 days is going to be very, very sketchy from what I understand. You know, we are only on the outside corner of this right now, and you can probably guarantee that that is what touched the earthquakes off, you know, in the Solomon Island region this morning. And if that touched off a magnitude 8, and we are only on the beginning outside corner of this coronal hole, my God, you know, I mean, God only knows what it's going to be like whenever we get right in the middle of it.
Well, there's a way that we can look at, let's do this.
I'm actually kind of worried for a lot of people, man, because, you know, these tectonic plates, I feel, you know, in my investigations and my little research here, that, you know, these tectonic plates, they have to be weakened. They're being shaken and rattled and cracked, and this pressure on them constantly over the just over the past 90 days. You know,
so let's take a look at this model here, and let me just share this. And if you don't have the site, Scott, you probably do. You probably have this all the time. But one of the things that's a really easy thing to understand is this is the difference of potential, and you can see that this is right now, and then it just goes 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. I'm back. All right. So this was 7 days ago when we had this huge difference of potential. And what that basically means, if you've ever had two magnets, and you put both the positive and the negative together, they strongly connect together. And then when it's weaker, that means that something on the outside is pulling on those and reducing their force. So you'll notice this is where we saw the earthquake, if I'm not mistaken, right, Scott, when it was on this low point?
Exactly.
So that is a really easy way to see how electromagnetics affect the tectonic plates of the Earth. Now, I think there's another one where you can actually see where it actually connects. Let's see, where is that? There is. Do you remember that one? The one that actually shows the connection with the sun? Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not it. Although there's a lot of fun charts in there. Here we go. Earth magnetic connectivity. And here's a map where we're connected on the sun itself. You know who does a good job with this is Ben Davidson.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, I'm just a novice on this stuff. But I can show you that this is where the connectivity would be. And if you're really into this, you would want to be looking for connections between the Earth spots where it's connected and the earthquakes. And that would be real science right there. So anyway, that's what we're looking at there, guys. And this is the one, though. This is, again, I'll go back to the one that really makes a lot of sense to me. And it's this one, man. It's the, let me close this sucker. It's this one. When you watch this going up and down like this, that's the Earth being just like a, picture yourself pushing on two sides of a beach ball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like an egg going back and forth. And this is a really easy one for people to understand. I think it's really, you know, it's just the basic concept of magnets, of a magnet.
Yeah, it's kind of scary too, you know. And like I said, I have a lot of friends out on the West Coast, man. You know, out in California, and you know, I've been warning them, and they're staying vigilant, and you know, they're paying close attention to, you know, what's going on. But
well, that's a big misunderstanding with our community too, I think, Scott. And it's like all I'm saying is I'm watching these things. I'm not lying. I'm really looking at real scientific stuff, right? You is that I'm gonna go to the surface temperature. Where is my surface temperature? And what I'm trying to say is that you know, we're not trying to make the decision of what to do and what not to do, okay? But it's the kind of thing, like, you have to be prepared when you see these kind of variations in temperature and this polar vortex and very little wind speed and things like that on the surface in the North Pole and blah blah blah. You just keep going through these things. Things are stacking up to a point where you should have your emergency kits ready. You should have your water and your food.
Very true.
And have your plans ready. Who are you going to meet if you lose cell phone communications? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to meet your friends and family? Whatever, to link up. Things that you should be doing anyway because you live in an earthquake-prone area. Okay. I mean, everybody should be prepared for. You know, if you're going to live in California, you should be prepared. If you live in Florida, you should be prepared for hurricanes. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I lived in Miami for 22 years. I lived directly on the beach. I lived in a high rise on the 33rd floor, facing the ocean, you know, and I had, I mean, I lived on the beach on the intercoastal. So, you know, there's a lot of people that were living in the area where I lived. And I went through, in 22 years down there, I went through, I think it was 13 major hurricanes, including Hurricane Andrew. And unfortunately, because of stupidity during Hurricane Andrew, I left the area at the worst possible time, and I literally got stuck on I-95 trying to head north to the Orlando area, which is 225 miles. And the highway system in South Florida is 6 lanes on each side of the highway, Interstate 95, going north and south. They opened up all 12 lanes going north. And you know what? Even with 12 lanes, I still sat in my car on the highway for 3.5 hours before I moved an inch. And 6 hours later, boom, the hurricane came in. Luckily for the city of Miami, you know, it took a jaunt, I think about 60 miles south, and, you know, wiped out the whole Homestead area, the Redlands, and, you know, it was very devastating. I mean, I wasn't able to move back into my condo for weeks. No electricity, no running water, no sewage, you know, so these things are very devastating. And, you know, I mean, all you can do is you can put it out there, you know, and hopefully people will listen. And, you know, one thing I want to bring up while I'm talking about this, and I know that you've been hearing this too, is this big run on fake news. You know, they're trying to literally like terminate people like me, you, Alex Jones, other people that literally, you know, do news related broadcasts, videos, things of that nature. And it just, you know, it's come to my attention that on your YouTube channel, if you subscribe to a YouTube channel now, YouTube has gone in and they have literally wiped out all of your notifications using the little bell icon to set your notifications up to your favorite channels. So now you literally have to go back to that channel, their YouTube channel, like mine or yours. You have to go over to the icon, the little bell icon. You have to click on it again, and you literally have to reset the notifications. BP Earthwatch, he just mentioned it in one of his broadcasts. I think it was either yesterday or today. I was watching an Alex Jones, because I love the guy. People don't like him, but I like him. And he was saying, yeah, he was saying the same thing. You know, and now what the hell's the guy Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook? He is making a run on eliminating fake news on Facebook. Okay, well, you know, who is judging what is fake news? Now, I'll tell you this much. Before anybody was out there with the information pertaining to the earthquakes in New Ireland and Papua New Guinea this morning, I was literally right on top of it, trying to search for information to put a video together, and there was hardly anything out there. But you know what information was out there? Alternative media. Alternative media. CNN didn't even have anything about it till 2.5 hours later. And I actually used a video of theirs where one of their reporters was describing and did a video on tsunami dynamics. And I used it in my video. But did they have an actual report? No. I was getting actual video reports from people on the ground in Papua New Guinea with their cell phones and recording the information, uploading it to YouTube. And I think that's kind of, you know, that's kind of bad for YouTube to do that, you know, and not say anything to the creators of the channels, send them a memo, an email. But, you know, if you do something wrong, wow, that email gets to you real quick, doesn't it, Steve?
It sure does. And I'm not admitting that I did anything wrong, because I didn't do anything wrong. Exactly. That's what's so bad. If I would have actually done a copyright strike, or if I would have really illegally used a Sechi image, okay, I'd be like, I'd admit it. I'd be just like, Scott, I really made a mistake. It sucks, you know? Yeah. But no, that's not what happened. What happened was I got ambushed by a troll, and somebody pretending to be the Naval, you know, Intelligence Observatory or whatever, you know, gave me 2 copyright strikes for using publicly available Sechi images off the Navy Sechi site.
Well, I could side with you, my brother, because I got one too. And I like I said, I put together a complete legal response to YouTube. And, you know, I went ahead and I appealed it through their normal methods. But then I went a step further and I contacted the Office of Naval Research. I spoke to a gentleman, this guy, Robert, down there. His email was, you know, on the website. And just like he told me, hey, listen, our email addresses end in M as in Michael, I, L as in Larry, military. Okay. They don't end in gmail.com. Okay. Because the email address that was attached to those copyright strikes said WSO-network-org. Okay. Our Office of Naval Research. Oh, come on, man. You know, and then YouTube sits there and they accept that.
I know, right?
I dropped the ball.
Well, the question is, how can you not think that something's going on when that's the pattern, right? I mean, what are you supposed to do with that?
And then you have to wait 10 to 14 days while they sift through the garbage. And then they see, oh, okay, we made a mistake. Yes, you did make a mistake. Your copyright strike platform is flawed. It is super flawed. It's dangerously flawed. And they need to do something about it.
I don't think anybody anticipated that YouTube would become an alternative news channel.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, it literally is. You know, articulate, smart people. You know, the only smart people in the world is not the Washington Post.
Well, I just watched a report where, you know, NBC, Dateline NBC, falsified and faked a report. This goes all the way back, I think, to the 80s. Or the early 90s, where they were talking about the gas tanks erupting under crash conditions on these Chevy pickup trucks. And they did a simulation and they fabricated the entire video where the truck was hit broadside. The truck exploded, but then they later on found out that NBC News put flares underneath the truck that were lit, and they used a different kind of gas cap, and they overfilled the tank. So they basically created the condition to create the explosion, just to create fake news.
They built a bomb, and I remember that.
Yeah, me too. I remember. I just watched it. I just watched it. It was on a report on Mark Dice.
Where did this sudden trust in government come from, Scott? I don't remember Americans being this trusting of government in their history.
You know, I was asking the same question this morning. You know, where did all of this run on fake news come from? Here's the deal. This is what I think. I think that they want to give you the news and the information that they want you to have, not what you want and what you deserve and what is correct. They just want to dumb you down. That's it. So fake news comes from CNN with their CGI and green screens, NBC, CBS. And if you really do want to get some in-depth news quickly, hey, yeah, you can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it on the internet. And, you know, I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't consider myself a news channel, but, I mean, we are talking about, you know, news-related issues with, you know, Nibiru and Planet X and what we're possibly going to be going through. I mean, I even had a dream about this last night. Woke up with my brain on fire over this fake news, and they're taking it to a whole new level, a level of attacks against alternative media.
Well, no, and the thing I don't even like about the whole idea of fake news is, again, I go back to who's to judge. So, do we have to be endorsed by the government to be a media outlet now? I thought we had a freedom of the press.
Exactly, exactly. Now that's in the report that Alex Jones did. That was his opening. He's like, you know,
it's kind of like if they would have taken out. Here's how they would have shut down Gutenberg in the first press, right? Take away their ink.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they're doing to us. It's a different type of attack. It's not just coming out and just saying these are bad people. I mean, there is an element to that, but what they're trying to really do, and I'm trying not to feel any rage or anything about it, because this is kind of understandable behavior. If you see your empire starting to crumble, right, and you're starting to see all the facades that you have had up around this whole world system, it's pretty fragile right now. And I guess when you corner a rat, they always bite, right?
Absolutely, man. They're going to attack.
Right. And I think that's where we're at right now. If they're attacking us, that just means that they're weak.
Exactly. And they're losing control. And I think that's one of the main factors is the control factor. Before, they had complete dominant control over the news media. You only got your news from a few sources. Now, because of the age of the internet and YouTube and cell phones and just the complete access to anything and everything, I could witness a car accident on the highway, and I could literally get out of my vehicle, film the aftermath, and get it to a news station, or upload it to YouTube, or upload it to Facebook, or tweet to the world. You know, I mean, okay, now that should be considered freedom of speech in this country, but it seems that we are following the path of like China right now, that literally, you know, you don't watch the news in China. I mean, you do, but you watch one news station and that's it.
Well, and don't think for a minute that the Chinese people, the people of China are not stupid, man. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh,
they know what's real and what's not real. So, you know, they know hopefully they know not to question the authority. But here I'm looking at this, basically looking at the force of energy, radio energy and polarity, IMF. You know, this is like the magnetic lines of force and all that kind of stuff all on this one map. But the part I want you to notice is, why is it getting so intense outside of the sun's, like usually it starts with the sun and then it goes out, right? What would make something come in like that?
Yeah, I see that.
You know what I mean? Usually it's like the sun ejects something and then it basically follows it around in a sheath like this, right? This seems like just an unbelievable amount of force here. I'm just looking at it and going, I haven't seen that. If anybody else has seen that before, just, you know, link it to me or whatever, and I'll look at it. But that's weird, man.
Yeah, that's a little alarming also, because I've never seen that either. You know, and I pay very close attention to all of these charts and models.
Well, that's the other thing that people don't understand about, like, especially you, Scott. I'll just give you a compliment. You work your ass off and you do research. You do the research. I don't think there's, like, if I was a reporter at the Washington Post, let's say, okay, I'm pretty sure that they'd say, you're becoming too much of an expert on this right now. We need you to move on to another story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do. I mean, in the course of a day, I'm usually at my computer, in my cell phone, or, on my big screen TV, on YouTube and all other sorts of media, 15 hours a day. I have very erratic sleep patterns. I may sleep a few hours in the very early morning, but I'm right back up and at it, sometimes all through the night. I mean, you know how many emails you get. I've had a huge rash of emails over the past couple of days. I literally got a couple thousand emails in. I'm sitting right now with 6,500 emails in my box, and I've yet to get to any of them today, because every single day when you wake up, there is another event. I mean, it's another event.
And you have, the reason that we pull that I'm showing this is just to say that, guys, we watch the same things that of the other people that you trust. We just don't make it a big, huge deal. We watch this stuff all the time. Scott and I talk about this stuff all the time. This is unusual, and this is something we have to keep our eyes open for, because it seems to match with this. I don't know. Let's wave of energy, whatever. What do you think about that, Scott? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I caught on to it, in the beginning of the week, and I immediately went out there, tried to do some research. They mentioned this SGR 1806-20 magnetar. Then there was another mention of another star being ripped apart by a black hole. Found some information on that. I mean, the information's credible, because the Swift, I think it was the Swift spacecraft probe that was out there that saw this, and I mean, it's all possible. I mean, a gamma ray burst like that would hit the Earth, depending on where the Earth was situated and where that burst came from. Not the whole entire Earth would be hit with it, but the portion of the Earth that is facing it would go through some pretty catastrophic damage. And then, I got into some material about what it would do to your body. I mean, children and young adults would be the worst victims, because it literally breaks your strands of DNA. I mean, that was scary, very scary. And then I watched a documentary on it, and it exploded my mind, literally. Now, can there be a possibility that all of a sudden that information was leaked out as disinformation to cover up what is actually happening? That was something that popped into my mind.
Yeah, I know, but see, that's the thing. That's the trick of psyops, is that what you're trying to do is create confusion. You don't need to convince anybody of anything or another. You don't have to sell them on any one of the concepts. You just have to make sure that they always are, like, not able to pick one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, either this is real or it's not. So it's easier to say it's not real. It's easier to get pushed off of it, because I get it. It's cognitive dissonance. But all we're trying to say is be ready, have an emergency plan. I mean, what could it hurt, right? What could it hurt to have extra water and food?
I mean, listen, I have all of my stuff set, ready to rock and roll, locked and loaded. And I mean that literally, and there was one other thing that I wanted to mention, and you're good friends with Dave Dobbs. I love the guy, great information. I appreciate and I love his research, but are we not set for another flyby at the end of December, going into January, according to the 180-day, 200-day cycle?
Yeah, and in fact, it would be fun. I think what we should do is reach out to Dave and get him on a show and just talk about his research, because I'd like to go see if he's changed his model and if there's updates to it and things like that. Because I think if he's really spot on and he's been accurate so far, I was one of the observers of the last pass of it. So
yeah, and I mean, he actually did release another video. I think it was last week, and I watched it, and I mean, the man looked like he had a lot on his mind. He was mentioning his model and the calculations and the 188-day cycle, or close to 200 days, and I mean, he looked scared. he looked scared. And again, we're dealing with this timeline, so check out the timeline. All of a sudden, now some information gets leaked out about a cosmic wave of energy coming towards Earth the day after Christmas, or on or about.
Well, doesn't that seem about the timing of this really intense beam of energy here?
Yes, and this flyby. So that's what I'm trying to
here's
say.
The Earth over here. By the way, in case you guys aren't catching this, the Earth is sitting right here, this yellow one. Okay, and then Venus, which is so bright in the sky, or what they say is Venus is so bright in the sky, is sitting here, and it is in a conjunction with Mars and with Mercury. And that's why you have all these lines of force are lining up, and then we've got this big ass belt of energy whipping around, and I don't even know where it's from because it's not coming from the sun, dude.
Yeah, I know, and it's
that's the sun in the middle.
Yeah, that's very worrisome because I mean I don't know how long that's actually going to take to impact us. Do you have a time frame on that?
Yeah, so this actually is going between 3 days, 19, 20, 21. Okay.
Oh my dear.
So 22
God.
would be down here, probably 23 would be over here, right? 24, you know.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not laughing because it's funny, by the way.
But that's very intense. If you take a look at it, I mean, it's
in this part. It's in this side of the band of this radiation level.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a little. I mean, I'll have to admit, for the first time this week, I got a little paranoid about. Okay, I mean, are we gonna get down to something here? Because if we are, it is time to get that prepared pack and get ready to rock and roll because. Again, we're not being told what's about to happen.
Well, most people don't know how to read this chart. Okay? And then, so the government has this plausible deniability. That's what I hate about it.
Yeah.
Hey, we had it up on the freaking satellite, man. You should have looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like the weatherman. Oh, well, we told you it was going to rain. Why didn't you wear your raincoat? I mean, and we go to our local weather, to see the weather, to see how we should prepare for that upcoming day. So this should be the format that we're in right now. This is what the government should be doing. We paid for all of this technology, did we not?
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it. But hey, Scott, listen, I love talking to you, and we'll continue this dialogue and conversation, man. I just love you, man. You're a great show, great channel, great dude. And I wish the best to you guys. I really do.
Well, we're gonna get it. We're gonna keep on keeping on. That's all I gotta say, buddy.
That's what we do, isn't it, Scott?
How's that one song go? Ain't no stopping us now. Woo! I mean, that's the name of the game, man. I'm going to continue getting this information out there. Whoever's going to listen is going to listen. Bottom line, if it comes down to the trolling of our YouTube channels, well, that's another battle. We're just going to have to continue that fight.
Yeah, that's what we do. Have a good day, Scott.
All right, buddy. You take care.
You too, Bob.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live broadcast. We are live with WSO, Steve Olson, and Wayne Steiger. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, and we're going to be discussing some updated information pertaining to Nibiru, Planet X, this cosmic wave earthquake activity that is basically rumbling across the globe. Wayne and Steve, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Doing great, man.
So we had a couple of major earthquakes down there in Papua New Guinea. Magnitude 8.0, then they downgraded it to a 7.9. How nice of them.
They do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that lately. I've been seeing a lot of non-reporting. And I touched base 2 weeks ago with a gentleman from Mexico who actually works for the seismology office in Mexico, and he's one of my subscribers, and he was actually watching some of my earthquake reports. And whenever I was using the USGS and using the other earthquake applications and websites, he sent me an email and he said, wow, he says, why are they not reporting all of these earthquakes that we're having on the west coast of Mexico and Central America? And I emailed him back and I said, well, can you give me some information on what's going on in your country? Wow. He sent me a link to their seismology office website. And he said, please use this. And I looked at it. I spent 3 hours on this Mexican seismology website, and I was floored, literally floored. Later on, I'll share that screen with you and the direct link he gave me. And the earthquake activity on the west coast of Mexico and in Central America is actually, it will open up your eyes very wide. They are not reporting any of that information, none of it. And I mean, there are so many earthquakes that you can't count them. You have to zoom in to each one of the dots. And, you know, they're very accurate. They don't do any kind of downgrading or anything like that. They're taking the direct readings from their instruments and reporting it. And I've been telling everyone, and, you know, when me and Steve were on the radio show last night, last thing I said was, you know, please, you know, pay attention to these earthquakes. There's definitely something going on. Something is affecting the earth for months. And it's leading up to a point where our internal core, I feel, is heating up, and it is literally pushing on these tectonic plates. And we're going to have some serious earthquakes. I mean, we may see something that's never been seen by, you know, current mankind walking on this earth. And it's definitely going to be on the west coast of the United States. And I do think the west coast of South America, along Chile, Argentina, and Colombia, it's going to be ripped apart. And I think we're also going to see some serious activity, Japan and in the South Pacific. And we may just see the northern coastline of New Zealand wiped out. But, you know, that's just what I've been investigating, just the intel that I've been getting. And so far, it's been pretty credible, and it's been right on target. You guys still there?
What I keep on seeing here is, you know, it's this constant area right down there in that whole Samoa, Papua New Guinea, and then extending down into New Zealand. You know, I keep on thinking to myself that eventually that zipper is going to unzip the West Coast as well. I have a brother who lives in the Seattle area, and that particular area there, which they're not reporting on the news, is the complete valley in between Mount St. Helen and down that valley in there. They have had numerous earthquake swarms. So, and then the last one that was a sizable one, I believe, was right off the Oregon coast, if I'm not correct, gentlemen, about 40 miles out to the Pacific, in which we know there's volcanoes sitting underneath there. So, yeah, it's pretty odd.
Yeah, I just put the current 3D earthquake tracker up, and can you see that on your screen, Steve?
I can. Let me close my screen share, because I think we're both sharing our screens, and we should just do one at a time if we're going to get the images, I think, is the idea, right? All right, I think I gave up my thing, so just go ahead and show us the earthquake map. I can see it.
It should pop up on your screen now.
Oh, yep.
And, I mean, if you just, we'll just zero it out, and we'll just take a look real quick, and you can see it looks kind of quiet. But there was one 2.9, and that looks like Northern California. I could zoom in there and turn on the actual Earth. Turn on some of these. Yeah, Central California. You know, a 2.9, and something that you know, Wayne just touched on, and I started digging into a couple of days ago, was this earthquake activity that was swarming around Mount St.